So last weekend I attended a Catholic Mass. I was in Brecon with two of my mates. One of my mates is actually an altar server in, I don't want to give out too much information where he lives and all that, like, you know, but his church is in Brecon, where he's an altar server and he helps out the priests and that. We were in Brecon and we just decided, well, let's just go and see. So I've been to a Catholic Mass before. That was in St. Illtyd's. Where my father grew up. My father ended up becoming Protestant, and his side, my paternal side of the family, were all Roman Catholics. They all became Protestant, hence why I'm Protestant now. I guess so. And I went to a Protestant school. So, very interesting experience, and it was a good experience, very good. So we end up going in there, and it's a beautiful building. It's quite small, it's quite quaint, it's quite simple, which I appreciate. It seems like a more of a tightly knit community, so we end up going in there, and with Chris and that, and Jacob's there, being an altar server and things, and so we go in, and the Mass is about to start, and we sit there, we say a few hymns. I didn't personally pray the Rosary, but they were praying the Rosary. And it was just on this Sunday that they'd done a procession for the Virgin Mary. So what they'd done is two fellas picked up this I don't know how to explain it, like a platform for a statue of the Virgin Mary, and they ended up putting the priest put a crown on her head, if you could say that, yeah, or like a tiara or something, and we ended up walking her out across the town. In Brecon, and there was a lot of bystanders, and lots of people were witnessing what was going on, and the priest was praying the Rosary, and I'll put a picture on the screen now. So I wasn't expecting seeing that, and when they were talking about that, I thought they were just going to pray the Rosary inside the church. I thought when they were talking about this, I thought they were on about like a date after. Looked at the piece of paper and it said today's date, so my mate wasn't even aware of it either. So we ended up doing that. My mate carried the cross at the front, so that was a good experience. And of course, guys, I'll go into a few theological differences that I have with Catholicism, but I've got to say it was a really good experience, knowing that I find that the Catholics are a lot more ecumenical than the Orthodox. I understand that, so that's what I found personally. It was an interesting experience. Ended up talking to the priest afterwards. He was actually from India. And absolutely lovely guy, and we ended up discussing things like, you know, transubstantiation, the perpetual virginity of Mary, and other theological differences. So we ended up going into different discussions and conversations, and there was a few other people I got to know there as well. But one guy who was really speaking to was really encouraging, that he was quite ecumenical. He said that if you're a Christian, you know, if you believe in God, that's the main thing, that's the most important thing. And I really appreciated that statement, because we can all think that, you know, we're all in the one true church, and you know, it just ends up in, you know, just division. And I understand that there's people have reasons and for that viewpoint, which I respect. So I guess so. But yeah, it was a good time, and we ended up obviously witnessing like the Eucharist, and I ended up my mate ended up giving me a tour of the church, and even where in the back where the priest and the altar servers prepare for the Mass. So he usually goes in. I think I took a picture of the room, and there was portraits of Catholic archbishops. I think is an Archbishop of Wales and that is recognised by the Vatican, and other things. So we ended up going into this room, and the altar server and the priest, they say prayers, they prepare themselves, they put their vestments on, and then they go out and do the Mass. So my biggest difference is, I think, as a Protestant, let's start with this, guys, especially, you know, why the Reformation happened, and why as I'm a Protestant myself, I guess you could say that's why perhaps a lot of Protestants are iconoclastic, because they're very, very skeptical about not only icons but statues. Very easily, perhaps people can turn them into idols, and that you're actually bowing down to them. I had a priest Father Jimmy, that was his name, Father Jimmy. I had a talk with the priest afterwards about this, and he said that especially about the statue of Mary, people will easily think that you're worshipping Mary, like you're deifying her, when really that's their way of honouring her and thinking that she can hear their prayers as well. But it's not stated in Scripture where and also the same. I mean, in Revelation it talks about asking for the intercession of saints and other things of Mary, but we need to realise there's 7 books that's been removed from the Protestant from the Bible canon for the Protestants. So I was looking at this Catholic Bible, and there was a book called Sirach, and it was just a bunch of life advice, like really, really valuable stuff. Why was that taken out? Why did Martin Luther wanted to get rid of the Book of James as well? I really don't know. So it's a fact that we have less books than the Catholics, and it's in those books that detail, the doctrine of purgatory and the perpetual virginity of Mary. So honestly, I don't know a whole lot about purgatory. What I do have information on, perhaps you could say, is the perpetual virginity of Mary. So if you're a Christian, you're going to believe in the Immaculate Conception. You're going to believe that Christ was born from a virgin, right? But the idea that the Catholics and the Orthodox have, well, I don't want to be disrespectful. The belief that they have is that Mary never lost her virginity. She was eternally a virgin, and the reason that they have for that is in the original Greek or Aramaic or the original language of the Bible. If you look at Scripture now, it says that Jesus had half brothers, right? But it turns out that the word brother in the original language could mean anything. It could mean cousin. It basically means cousins. So either we've got to go back into the original language and find out, did Jesus actually have half brothers, or were they just cousins, like half cousins? So that supports the idea that Mary was a perpetual virgin, and that Mary can hear our prayers as well. And they sort of look at Mary as their mediator. I understand the Orthodox viewer as the Theotokos, which is just Greek for Mother of God. I see Mary as the Mother of God. I don't personally ask for her intercession or the saints. It says in Timothy that there's only one mediator, and that's Christ. I'm learning about this, guys. I respect their viewpoint very much so, knowing that they came before the Protestants. The Catholic and the Orthodox came before the Protestants. Ultimately, the biggest disagreement was between Catholics and Protestants. They were one church before 1054, and that was basically over. They changed the Nicene Creed, the Catholics did, and then they excommunicated each other, or the Orthodox changed it. That's what the Catholics think. But anyway, that's enough theological discussion. Anyway, let's talk about my experience. So afterwards, after the Mass, I have a tour of the building. I ended up going upstairs. There was like an upstairs bit. You see that in a lot of Orthodox churches. It's almost like a balcony type place, and where you can see like the choir, and they have an organ as well. And there was also incense when the Mass was going on, so I liked that. That was a nice touch as well. And trying to think now. Yeah, on the side of the walls you see like depictions of Christ's crucifixion. So like each moment detailing the sufferings that he went through. So no matter where you go in the church, you will see a point in time where Jesus had to carry the cross and had to go through that suffering. And so and then afterwards, Father Jimmy came back in, and we ended up having a chat about transubstantiation. And we had this debate about me and my friend, and we were talking about transubstantiation, knowing that we as Protestants look at communion and the Eucharist as just a remembrance thing. It doesn't literally become his body and his blood. I mean, did the early Christians literally think that they would drink in his blood and eat in his body? It's the metaphysical idea that it actually changes, or perhaps it changes spiritually. I understand that Christ said, "This is my body, this is my blood. Do this in remembrance of me." So the Protestants view the second bit of the verse when they say, "This is do this in remembrance of me." They view it as a remembrance thing, a representation. That's how the church I go to. We only do it once a month. I disagree with that. I think we should do it every week, but that's up to the leadership. I honestly, when it comes to the Eucharist, I think the Orthodox have got it correct, I think, in my opinion, because they don't believe in transubstantiation, but they believe in the real presence. So they, you know, they basically, you know, they agree with the belief that they are the holy mysteries. They are the mysteries. So yeah, we are not going to understand this, but 100% with our limited thinking capacity as a human being. And I really respect that they don't try and understand everything. They don't try and like put everything down to a intellectual study. I think the West has done that very much so, but the East, wow, the East is something else, man. It really is, you know. But yes, I very much enjoyed, and I will definitely go again. Yeah, but it was a very interesting look at the history of the place. So it was in the 1500s, 1600s, I believe, when, or even later on, yeah, it was 1500s, 1600s. Henry VIII came along. He wanted an annulment of his marriage. The Pope said no, or the authority in the Catholic Church at the time said no. And the Catholic Church was the church in England, was the state Church of England. So King Henry VIII went like, well, screw this, I want a divorce. So he makes the Anglican Church. And I got to be honest, I got a lot of time for the Anglican Church, although it's become very, very weak, and they change, you know, it seems like they change their morality every 10 years, or, you know, it seems like they can change their mind on anything. You know, I really enjoyed going, but there was a few things that stopped me going there. But yeah, you can definitely see, what was I going to say now? So, yeah, so the Anglican Church. I'm trying to think where it was now. But with the Catholic Church, was excommunicated, I guess, from the state of England, the church, and then, if that's correct, and then King Henry VIII comes along and just makes his own church. So, and he was able to have a divorce. So I know they have a few theological differences, and but it almost seems like Reformed Catholicism. Like you decide whether you want to pray to Mary and the saints or not. I believe I know there are a few people that do that. Perhaps it's down to you, and I like that. I very much I like that. It's the highest Protestant church going anyway. But yeah, and probably with Presbyterians and Lutherans probably. So, and yeah, so guys, I enjoyed this experience. I enjoyed talking about different denominations and other things. I hope one day we can all come together in unity and pray for the peace of the whole world. Things are kicking off all around the world, seems like. So, but yeah, guys, if you enjoyed my thoughts on this video, please comment, like, and share, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And I'll see you all again. Peace out.